Nothing is going right at Red Bull Racing. Max Verstappen has 11 penalty points and he can get a race ban. Yuki Tsunoda is now driving like Liam Lawson in the first two races of the 2025 season, and his ass is on fire. And if these two critical problems are not enough, Chief Engineer of Red Bull, Paul Monahan, is in denial about the instability issues and the twitchiness of the RB21. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And related to all the three critical issues that I just said, there is another thing that could happen, which is Isaac Hadjar getting promoted to Red Bull Racing. And as a result of that, his Formula One career, which is currently going very well after a difficult start in the Australian Grand Prix, is probably going to get ruined because anyone who goes and drives the second Red Bull is just career death. So anyway, the only person who can actually save Isaac Hadjar's F1 career is Max Verstappen himself. So what happens is when things are not going his way, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people know this already, when things are not going his way, Max Verstappen has no problem in escalating situations. If he is not fighting for the world title, if he is not fighting for the win, then he doesn't care if he crashes into people. Some people say that is just his passion for racing and all of this. Max Verstappen decriers say that I'm a Verstappen fan. I enjoy his antics both on and off track. It's fun to watch, good entertainment, gives us a lot of things to talk about. But it's not that he's passionate or anything like that. It's just the Verstappen way of doing things. Can we all admit that Max Verstappen has a specific way of handling situations, particularly difficult situations, and he is driven by a raw sense of justice? When George Russell shoved Max Verstappen off track in turn one in Spanish Grand Prix, the stewards decided to let that shit go, not Max Verstappen. So he is just driven by a true sense of justice, and a lot of people are saying that he's the second coming of Jesus Christ. I'm not going to argue with them. But the Verstappen way has now come to bite him in the ass, and it's very possible that he can get penalized. He will say something, do some shit in practice. Anything can happen, and that's the fun part about watching Max Verstappen race. And if he gets that one extra penalty point, he has to sit on the sidelines. Isaac Hadjar will be the next sacrifice. Will it happen in Canada? I don't think so, because historically Canada has been a clean Grand Prix for Max Verstappen. But what can happen in Canada is that the Red Bull can struggle in pace, and if Max Verstappen is fighting in the midfield, then Verstappen is probably going to drive like a mad motherfucker. It will be great entertainment and I will enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie. But it's not passion, it's just the Verstappen way of doing things. Another problem that Red Bull has is Yuki Tsunoda's progress has been stagnated, and these motherfuckers already say this. His ass is on fire. The best Grand Prix result that this Jap kid has got so far is a P9. I think it was in Bahrain or some shit. And after that, it was just P10 in the Grand Prix. And in the Spanish Grand Prix, if you look at his performance, it was shit. He qualified P19, and he would have qualified P20 if Lance Stroll did not pull out of the Grand Prix due to his hand recovery injury issues. So he qualified dead last, and he finished the race in like P13 or something. And that's because Alexander Albon retired and Kimi Antonelli retired. If these two motherfuckers did not retire, then Tsunoda would have finished even behind, because the Williams has pace. Maybe not pace to fight the top dogs. In Spain, they have typically struggled in Spain. And obviously, Kimi Antonelli of Mercedes, they definitely have pace. So, Yuki Tsunoda, dog shit performance in the Spanish Grand Prix. His ass is on fire. And some guy has also said is, look, Red Bull worry that Tsunoda's progress was stagnated. Yes, after he also crashed in qualifying in Imola, the Japanese GM's drive is also now at risk, with question marks over Tsunoda's Red Bull future. Obviously, look, guys, Tsunoda is getting fired. 2025 is the last Formula One season of Yuki Tsunoda, unless some other team gets in, which is unlikely because, again, Yuki Tsunoda is cursed. I'm going to make another detailed video about how Yuki Tsunoda's career is cursed. Tsunoda is in a situation, he is probably in the best form of his life, but because he is in a piece of shit car, which is, designed around Max Verstappen and however you want to put it, only Max can drive the car. He is in a position in which, despite having a lot of experience, despite being in the best form of his life, potentially, because as you grow older, you become mature and all that type of stuff, he still cannot perform. He still cannot show his talent, not on the level that it will attract the attention of other teams. Even if other teams will hire him, he'll be for like a reserve spot or something. The only chance of Yuki Tsunoda to secure a drive for 2026 is if Lawrence Stroll unalives his son. If Lance Stroll, for whatever reason, decides to not drive anymore, then only Yuki Tsunoda can have a chance, because then the Aston Martin will be Honda powered, right? They are the engine partners, and this he is Japanese and Honda is Japanese, so they have this Japanese connection. Only then he has a potential of driving a Formula One car in 2026. Otherwise, Yuki Tsunoda, this is probably the last of him that we are seeing. So all in all, his career looks very difficult. He had a very difficult Spanish Grand Prix, and I don't think things are gonna improve. Because whenever Yuki thinks that he is getting closer into understanding the car, whenever Yuki believes that he has nailed a particular driving aspect of the RB21, the next Grand Prix weekend, everything is undone. He has to go back to scratch. He has to go to zero again. So that's the problem that Yuki Tsunoda has. This is the last season of Yuki in Formula One. It is what it is. Now, Paul Monahan. So this guy, you have to admit that if so many drivers are struggling to tame the Red Bull, and the only person who can tame the Red Bull is Max Verstappen, who is Jesus Christ, who is not even a human being. If you need an extraterrestrial being, a demigod, to control the car, then your car is shit. You have to believe that. And someone asked Paul Monahan this question about the twitchiness of the car in the Japanese Grand Prix. This is what he said. I have opened it just in case. So how twitchy your car is, or how nervous your car is, perhaps you will say that it's relative. I bet there are 18 other twitchy cars in this pit lane that all of us, myself probably the most, a little bit of self-deprecating joke, would find really quite difficult to drive. So basically what Paul Monahan said was that the Red Bull's twitchiness is just a myth. It's just a thing of perspective. If you look at Formula One cars, all of them are difficult to drive, hence the Red Bull is a good car. And this denial, this culture of denial, has now led them to a situation in which they're now basically stuck. This is 2025, the last year with the same set of regulations. They cannot do much. Their hands are basically tied. So right now is just going to be a slow and painful death for Red Bull Racing, because with each subsequent Grand Prix, they will see the second driver struggling with the car, and they will see Max Verstappen going crazy and doing random shit, probably get a few racing bans. I predicted about this before the season started, but I thought Max Verstappen will get racing bans because of swearing, but apparently it was driving. So it is what it is. And if Verstappen gets a racing ban because of the denial of Paul Monahan and his crew, there will be another sacrifice in the name of Isaac Hadjar. So obviously, they are not going to put Liam Lawson back in because that was a disaster. On the other side of the V-Carb garage is Isaac Hadjar, who has been performing really well. And that is going to be the death of his Formula One career, because Christian Horner, in an interview, has praised Isaac Hadjar. And in the same interview, he also talked a little bit of shit about Yuki Tsunoda. He said that Yuki needs to improve and level up his game. And he also said that Isaac Hadjar has been turning heads and he has been improving people, impressing people around the Red Bull family. So if Verstappen gets a racing ban, it's very likely, I mean, it's not likely, I mean, it's going to happen. Isaac Hadjar will replace him, and then all of this confidence will go away. We can only hope that the race ban will last for like one race, and then one disastrous weekend will probably not shake Hadjar's morale, I guess, or confidence by that much. We can only hope that. But the longer Isaac Hadjar stays in Red Bull, if all those things happen, then it's gonna be a problem. Right now, everything is going wrong with Red Bull, Verstappen is probably going to get a race ban, especially if the Red Bull is uncompetitive. He doesn't want to fight for P8 with Esteban Ocon. He doesn't give a shit about that. Yuki Tsunoda's, this is 2025, is his last season in Formula One, so we have to say goodbye to our favorite Japanese kid. It is just what it is. He has a very tough career. I'm going to make a detailed video about this shit. Paul Monahan still in denial about the performance issues of Red Bull, and Isaac Hadjar could be the next sacrifice to the second Red Bull god. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.